Nik Nanos is here to break down the numbers. He's the founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research. Good morning, Nick. Good to see you.
Good morning, Lauren.
So let's talk about recent ballot support. A very close lead here between the Liberals and Conservatives.
Yeah, still a tight race, Lauren, between the Liberals and the Conservatives. Only about 4 points between the two front-running parties, 39-35, NDP at 13, Bloc at 9, Green Party at 3. You know, the interesting thing to look at is the Bloc numbers. Actually, it might, 9% might not look like a lot, but that actually converts into seats. But, the fact of the matter is that it's still a very tight race between the Liberals and the Conservatives. And, the thing is Canadians are still looking at the two front-runners, the two front-running parties. And, who knows what would happen. I'm not saying we're going to have an election. If we have an election, when we have an election, I think there's still a lot of things that are up in the air on that front.
Okay, Nick, when Canadians were asked what the likelihood is of the U.S. supporting Alberta separation, what did we see there?
Wow. Can I just say that? We asked a question. Never thought I'd be asking a question like this, Lauren. How likely or unlikely do you think the U.S. would support Alberta separation? And, check out the numbers. And these are Canadians, right? So you can see 46% said that they're likely to support, believe that the Americans are likely to support, another 38. That makes over 8 out of every 10 Canadians believe that, why don't we just, maybe another way to say this, that there are people in America or the White House that look at Alberta like a pork chop. How's that? That they just see something. Alberta is the energy heartland of the country. And I think for a lot of Canadians in this particular environment, they see discontent in Alberta. They see that the administration in the United States making musings about Canada being the 51st state. And they believe, at least Canadians believe, that the U.S. has Alberta in its crosshairs and would support Alberta separation.
All right, Nick, looking at the demographic of Americans, more females would support this decision. Is that right?
Yes, actually, the demographic, remember the survey, Lauren, is among Canadians on whether they believe that the U.S. would support Alberta separation. Yeah, you can see the numbers on the gender front. One of the numbers that really popped for me actually had to do with geography. When we look at Canadians at different parts from different parts of the country, that belief that the U.S. would support Alberta separation jumps nationally from 8 out of every 10 Canadians. When we look at the numbers in the prairies, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, that number jumps up to 9 out of every 10 individuals who reside in the prairies. So if you think Canadians think that the U.S. Would support Alberta separation, it jumps up even higher among those folks that live in the prairie provinces.
All right, really interesting stuff there. Nick, thank you so much for your time.
Take it easy.
All right, that is Nik Nanos, the founder and chief data scientist at Nanos Research.